series in the month of April, and we're going to start a series on the book and character Joshua in the Old Testament, which we will start in the month of May. One thing that Ashley and I do almost every day, if not every day, is we both have the little app on our phones that shows memories from previous years, the Time Hop app, and we'll often look back on previous years and what was going on this day, whatever years ago, 1 year to 15 years, ever how long all that's been around. And one of the things this season of the year that pops up are memories that happened during the COVID shutdown. It seems like so long ago and so weird now. But one of the things that happened during the COVID shutdown is just everything just slowed down, didn't it? And life felt quieter. And our family found ourselves doing something that we don't often make enough time for, which is hiking. Every Sunday, we would try to go out and hike in North Alabama. We did a lot of them and covered a lot of territory. During the COVID shutdown, Kaylee was still living in Colorado, but she decided to come home during that time because there was so much uncertainty. So we literally had the three older kids, and then Levi was, was he like 3 years old at the time, 3 or 4? And so we would go out and we would hike and have fun, spend time together, and then we would stop at Jack's on the way home and get a milkshake. And all the hiking we did just went to void because we got milkshakes. So long hikes, no rushing, no multitasking, no running out the door for the next practice or the next game or the next event. Just walking together at a slower pace and enjoying God's creation and enjoying each other. Walking is one of the most natural things that we do. Along with eating and sleeping, it is one of our most practiced rhythms of life. But unlike eating and sleeping, we do not need walking to survive. So for that reason, we tend to take it for granted, don't we? Unless it's taken away for some reason. We don't really get excited about walking. We're not like Toby, our Brittany Spaniel, who's about to turn 13, and he's less excited now about walking than he used to be, but in the past, if you just said the word walk, Toby, let's go for a walk. Man, he was everywhere in the house, running in there to get his collar on that he knows he's supposed to wear and all those things. He got excited with the mere mention of the word walk. We don't get that excited because it's just something that we do. It's just part of our rhythm. If you're capable of walking, you walk. Even if it's just from the bed to the couch for the day. You're going to walk. Even if it's just going from the fridge to the table, from the car to the cubicle, you are walking. I heard a comic that we listened to recently talk about that he realized how out of shape and lazy he was because he was watching football on a Saturday and he got up from the couch and walked a few yards into the kitchen to get something to eat or drink, and came back to the couch, and the time it took him to get from the couch to the kitchen to back, in the football game, a dude caught a kickoff and ran 100 yards with 11 dudes chasing him and scored a touchdown. He was like, I knew I was lazy in that moment. I walked like 3 yards in the same length of time that guy ran 100 yards with 11 angry people chasing him. Walking is what we do between sitting and laying down. Now, sometimes we walk for different reasons, deeper reasons. Sometimes we walk to think, to get our thoughts together. Sometimes you walk with a person that you love or care about to connect, to get some connect time. That's one of the ways that Ash and I will try to connect every once in a while is we'll take a walk to spend some time together. Some people walk to get in shape. Some people walk just to enjoy the bigness of God's creation. Some people walk to calm their soul, to breathe more deeply. This type of walking is intentional, it's purposeful, it's unhurried walking, not like I practice if I take my kids to any kind of amusement park. I'm a man on a mission, dude. When the road drops, we are walking intently to get where we're going, to get in line, to the point that Ashley's usually screaming at me from like 50 yards back, slow down, like catch up. The purpose is to get there And so that's not the type of walking we're talking about. On the average, we tend to walk at about 3 miles per hour. This is what one of my favorite authors, a guy named Mark Buchanan. Mark Buchanan calls this the speed of our soul. It's the pace that God keeps. And that matters because when you open the scriptures in the opening scene, you discover a God who walks. A God who walks. In that scene, in the garden, in the cool of the day, the scriptures say that God walks with his creation, face to face in personal relationship for the purpose of connection, to spend time together, unhurried and intentional walking in the garden. However, that daily walk with God was disrupted, wasn't it? It was disrupted when sin entered into the picture, and our very first parents responded not by walking, but by running away from God and hiding from God, which, by the way, we've been doing ever since. But God pursues them and initiates this rescue plan to restore what was broken, to salvage, to mend that relationship, to one day walk with his creation again. And that plan is the redemptive story of the Bible that culminates in the death and the resurrection of Jesus, who invites us into this relationship. Follow me, Jesus instructs us. Walk with me. One of the clearest pictures of what that looks like happens in this conversation we just read about, in this 7-mile walk on the road to Emmaus on that very first Easter morning. So remember the context here, set the stage. Jesus is dead. He's been brutally beaten and crucified, and his devastated followers watch him die. Their hope is diminished. The body of Jesus is given to a man named Joseph, who wraps the body in linen and lays him in a tomb. This large stone is placed in the front of the tomb, and Roman soldiers stand watch to prevent any foul play from going on. A group of ladies that we talked about last week on Easter, who were devoted Jesus followers, they watch all of this from afar, and then on that third morning, to show honor and respect, they make plans to anoint the body of Jesus on Sunday morning. His other followers run and hide. And so on that first Easter morning, everything changes. Resurrection happens. He is alive, hope is alive, and the news begins to spread like wildfire. And that is where we pick up this story in Luke 24:13. That very day, that Easter Sunday, that Resurrection Sunday, that very day, two of them here being followers of Jesus, disciples of Jesus, they were going to a village named Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and they were talking with each other about all these things that had happened. So we find these two disciples walking and talking about what has happened on that very day. The text says they're walking 7 miles. Think about it. 7 miles, 3 miles per hour. That's about a 2-hour walk. That's a long time to talk and think and reflect and question and change your mind and have your life turned upside down by a conversation with a stranger named Jesus. Verse 15. While they were talking and discussing together, Jesus himself drew near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. So this stranger appears, he walks and talks with them at the pace of God. They are initially prevented from recognizing Jesus. Why? Because God is up to something bigger than this 7-mile, 2-hour stroll to Emmaus. Let me pause here to remind us that often God prevents us from seeing clearly because he intends to show us some things, listen, as we walk. As we're walking life's journey, we are prevented at times from seeing things clearly, of understanding things deeply because God's up to something. God is intending to show us things that we need to see while we're walking, as we walk life's journey. He shows us things that we need to see because it's part of our journey. It's part of what makes us who we are as followers of Jesus as we're walking at the pace of God. 17. And he said to them, what is this conversation that you're holding with each other as you walk? And they stood still looking sad, right? They're grieving. And one of them, named Cleopas, answered him, are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know the things that have happened there in these days? You ever think you look back on that conversation, it's like, dude, I was sarcastic to Jesus. Are you the only person that doesn't know what happened? Verse 19, and he said to them, what things? And they said to him, concerning Jesus of Nazareth, a man who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and rulers delivered him up to be condemned to death and crucified him. And then here's the key words. But we had hoped. We had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. We had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. We had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. So they're having this conversation and Jesus says, hey, what's going on? And they're like, have you not heard the news? And Jesus is like, what news? And their response is natural. What world are you living in? Have you not heard? Have you not seen the headlines? Have you not scrolled your feed? Like, do you not know what's going on here? And then this phrase, we had hoped that he was, there it is, past tense. We had hoped that he was. This is the language of disappointment. They are crushed by frustration. Their hope is dashed. Their faith is struggling. Their doubt is amplified in this moment. Very important. What fuels their doubt and disappointment, listen, what fuels their doubt and disappointment in this moment is that in their minds, based on human experience, based on reality, something irreversible has happened, right? That's their experience. Something irreversible has happened. Jesus is dead. And for us, death is irreversible. There's no coming back from that. In our experience, certain kinds of brokenness is simply irreversible. Dead people stay dead. Dead people remain dead. A life is gone. And that reality leaves behind hurt and pain and grief and questions and doubt and disappointment. This is our human reality. We live and we die and we don't come back. The dead remain dead. That's why events like happened in Moulton yesterday at the intersection when a parent and 3 children died in a car wreck. That's what makes those moments so tragic, is because you don't come back from that. There's not a family this morning that is thinking, let's just give it 3 days, right? Because death is death. And so on this walk to Emmaus, their minds are based on their human reality, their human experience. The dead remain dead. And the strangers asking questions, have you not heard? Where have you been? What's going on? How do you not know that this guy named Jesus of Nazareth that we believed in, that we thought was sent from God, has been murdered? He's been killed. He is dead. The dead remain dead. We had hoped. That is the swan song of the brokenhearted and the disappointed. I had hoped that my marriage would work. I had hoped that the diagnosis would be different. I had hoped that this job would last for the rest of my career. I had hoped that this relationship would mend and heal. I had hoped that God would come through. I had hoped that my faith would feel stronger when I went through something like this. We had hoped. Our life experience confirms that some brokenness is irreversible. But what these followers do not know in this moment, and what we tend to forget as we navigate everyday life, is that the resurrection of Jesus reverses the irreversible. That the gospel changes everything. Pick back up at the end of 21. Yes, besides all this, it is now the third day since these things happened. Moreover, some women of our company amazed us. They were at the tomb early in the morning. And when they did not find his body, they came back saying that they had even seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but him they did not see. So he says, look, in addition to this news, this experience that Jesus is dead, there's some strange rumors going around. There's a story about women at the tomb, about angels, about bright lights, about the stone being rolled back, about an empty tomb, about finding left behind folded grave clothes. These are rumors. There's no confirmation. We haven't seen Jesus, but here's the rumors. And then this stranger, who's Jesus, begins to walk and talk and converse with them. And they listen at a God pace on a 7-mile walk to Emmaus. Jesus begins to talk to them. 25, and he said to them, O foolish ones and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory? I love 27. Beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. Like there's conversations I wish were recorded, like we had more details outside of one verse. This is one of those conversations. This stranger, their eyes are blinded. This stranger does not seem to be up on the local headlines, but he sure does know a lot of Hebrew scriptures and how those texts point forward to a Messiah. And this stranger teaches these two disciples how all scripture leads to the same place, how it all points to the promised Messiah, how it all points to Jesus. As the stranger walks and talks and unpacks God's redemptive story for them, something happens to them on the inside. Their hearts begin to burn, is what the text will say. Hope begins to rise. Dots begin to connect. Faith begins to surface. By the way, in case you didn't know, here at City Church, we try and follow the model of Jesus here as we teach the Bible. Here's what that means. What I want to do is stand on this stage every week, to quote C.H. Spurgeon, the old Prince of Preachers. We stand on this stage, we open the scriptures, and we run to Jesus every week. Whatever text we're in, we run to Jesus with it. Because all scripture, we learn from Jesus himself, all scripture is pointing to him. All scripture is about him. Wake up call for all of us as rabbit trail, I don't have time to chase. The Bible's not about you. Scripture's not about you. It's about him. So we're going to run to him. And guess what? Because it's about him, it transforms your life. That's how the scriptures work. We run to Jesus with the text, realizing that it is his power, his enabling, his sacrifice, the good news of the gospel that transforms us from the inside out. Verse 28. So they drew near to the village to which they were going, so 7 miles, 2 hours. He acted as if he were going to go, we're going further. But they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is now far spent." So he went in to stay with them. So this 7-mile trek comes to an end, but their Jesus journey, their journey with Jesus is just beginning. "Hang out with us some more," they plead. And the stranger obliges. Jesus moves in their direction. And the conversation continues. Verse 30. When he was at the table with them, capture the scene, he took the bread and blessed and broke it and gave it to them. 31. And their eyes were opened, and they recognized him. And as soon as they recognized him, he vanished from their sight. And they said to each other, "Did not our hearts burn within us while he talked to us on the road, while he opened to us the scriptures?" And they rose that same hour and returned to Jerusalem, and they found the 11 and those who were with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord has risen indeed. He has appeared to Simon." Then they told what had happened on the road and how he was known to them in the breaking of the bread. "Stay with us," they plead. Jesus goes in, I'll have a meal with you. Well, when the meal is served, Jesus takes the bread, gives thanks, begins to break the bread. You see what's happening here, right? He serves them the bread, and their light bulb goes off. Wait, we've experienced this before. We've witnessed this before. They have witnessed this divine moment before. And suddenly their eyes are opened and their hearts are burning. You see, the walk, this 7-mile, 2-hour conversation with the stranger was preparation. It was preparation for this divine encounter. The moment they realized Jesus is present with us. Even when we can't see him, even when we can't recognize him, he is with us. And this is emphasized because immediately when they recognize it, Jesus vanishes from their sight. He's no longer there, but he's still there. This is why when Jesus says to them, "It's important for me to go back to the Father, because when I go back, the Holy Spirit will come and dwell within you." That God will be removed, but God will be present. He will be in us. And so they recognize in this moment, when I can't see him, when I can't recognize him, he's still here. And they run to the others and announce this good news. Jesus is alive. Jesus is alive. We're a little bit skeptical because we had no confirmation. I know what the lady said. I know what Simon Peter said, but can't believe that cat. They're skeptical, right? But now they're not, because they've experienced Jesus. All that he said was true. Our hearts were burning within us. Jesus is alive. This story is what following Jesus looks like. That Jesus invites us to follow him, to walk with him, here it is, in the ups and downs of life. In the hills and the valleys, in the good times and the bad, in the times that we can see him and sense him, and in the times where he feels really far removed. And as we walk with him day after day, Jesus keeps showing up, walking beside us, revealing things to us about him and about us, making our hearts burn. Often we fail to see it. We fail to see what he's doing in this moment, in this season of life. You know why? Because that tends to come later in the journey, while we're walking. Sometimes it requires some walking to get there, doesn't it? To get where you can see and understand and realize. Sometimes it's walking the journey through a lot of difficulties and valleys and dark times and looking back on the journey to see He was with me the whole time. I didn't see it. I couldn't sense it. It didn't feel that way. But now that I've walked, now that I've taken this path, now that I've been on this journey at this season, I can look back and see He was with me. Even when I didn't feel it or sense it, He was walking with me the whole time. I love this language that Jesus uses over and over again in the New Testament when He says to His followers, follow me, follow me. And so we follow. Walk with me, Jesus says. And so we walk. Come to me, Jesus says, and I will give you rest. And so we come and we rest. And the resurrection guarantees that we are walking in the right direction, following the right companion, because the resurrection reverses the irreversible. It changes everything. You see, what they thought was final wasn't final. What they thought was lost wasn't lost. What they thought was over wasn't over. And the same is true for us. You see, we have all these it's back moments in life, don't we? As we live everyday life, we have all these it's back moments of life. The cancer is back. The addiction is back. The anxiety I thought I was over is back. The grief that I thought was going to dissipate over time is back. The anger problem that I have, man, it's back. I thought I had it under control, but after the event last night, I realized it's back. The loneliness, it's back. The feelings of inadequacy, it's back. The relationship struggle, it's back. The lust, the darkness, it's back. That's the world in which we live. We live in the brokenness. And every time that it shows back up, every time it shows back up, this whatever it is, the it's back. Whenever it shows back up, it whispers the same lie over and over again, doesn't it? Things aren't going to change. You're never going to change. This is the lie that gets whispered in our ear over and over when the anger comes back. That's the lie that it whispers to us. You're not going to change. You can't overcome it. Every time you're fighting the addiction again, after you feel like you've been over it and through it, and you've done the rehab and you've gone through the process, and it's been potentially months and years and maybe even decades of time, and then it's back and the lie is whispered again. You're never going to change. It's irreversible. You can't come back. And every time you feel like you've made progress in the marriage, and then you realize a week later it's back. The struggle's back and the lie is whispered. It's back, and things are never going to change. And so every single time that the it comes back, it whispers the same lie. This is irreversible. This is the end of the story. But the gospel, the good news, speaks a better word. The gospel declares not it's back. The gospel declares He's back. And the He's back reverses it's back. Right? The it's back is the irreversible, the lie. You're not going to change. It's never going to stop. It's never going to heal. The He's back speaks a better word. It speaks a good news word. It speaks a gospel word. Jesus is alive. Here it is. And because He's alive, because He reversed the irreversible, nothing in your life is beyond hope. Nothing in your life is beyond redemption. Nothing in your life is truly irreversible. Nothing in our life is completely and finally lost. We tend to think in terms of what we've lost. We've lost time, relationships, health, dreams, identity, hope, purpose. That's part of the lie that It's Back whispers to us. You've lost it. You've lost that relationship. You've lost those dreams. You've lost that purpose. But the resurrection announces in Jesus, you lose nothing. You see, every broken thing will be mended. Every lost thing will be rescued. Every sad thing will come untrue. That's what the resurrection guarantees, that there is coming a day when we will walk fully with God again in the cool of the day in perfect relationship. You see, that's where this story is going. It's headed back to Eden, where it all started. That's what this redemption plan is all about. It is the restoration of that original garden, Eden, that we're all eventually headed back to that type of relationship with God, face-to-face encounter with God, walking in the cool of the day, unhindered by the brokenness. And until that day, in the in-between, the first garden and the last, in this time of in-between, we walk. We follow, we abide through the ups and downs, the questions and confusion, the hills and valleys. We won't always recognize what He's doing in the moment because that clarity tends to come later. And after some miles, after some conversations, after some time on the road, then we look back and realize He was here the whole time. He was doing something the whole time. So here's the invitation for us today. Jesus still comes near. He still comes and walks and talks. He still leads. He walks with us in every season of life, in every moment of life. And the good news of the gospel announces Jesus is not saying to you today, hey, figure it out. He's not saying to you, hey, buddy, catch up or you're going to get left behind. He's not saying, man up and do better. He's not saying, good luck with it. That's not the gospel. The gospel is, walk with me, follow me, come to me. I am with you. And maybe today, if we're honest, that our story sounds a lot like, I had hoped. We had hoped, and you fill in the blank. I had hoped it was going to be this way. And maybe that's the kind of siren song of your life right now. I had hoped. But here's the gospel. The resurrection interrupts that sentence. I had hoped. And the resurrection steps in to that sentence and says, He's alive. He's alive. He's alive. And even now, even when we don't recognize it, He's with us. He's walking with us. He meets us where we are. And He turns our we had hoped moments into a burning heart. He's back. And He's back reverses the it's back moments of life. So as the Hebrew writer says, and we say here often at City Church, fix your eyes on the author and finisher of our faith. He started it. He will finish this thing. And we fixate our eyes on Him. So I don't know what you're going through today. I don't know the hills, the valleys, what you're facing. I don't know what we had hoped, I had hope moment you're going through in life right now, but here's what I know. Because of the resurrection, it guarantees the irreversible is reversed in the good news of the gospel. It guarantees that what Christ has done is enough for you today. And so we fix our eyes on the author and finisher of our faith, and then we say together, let's go for a walk with Jesus. Let's bow our heads for prayer.